Let's talk about a really hot topic. And I love talking about trusts, but some people don't realize that there are a couple different types of trusts. So can we go through the maybe more popular ones? I don't know how many there are. I know of at least two, the revocable and the irrevocable. I don't know how many there are, but let's go over like the main ones and how they differ from each other.
That's a great question. Most people, I would say, the primary usage of a trust is when you're living, right? So that's a revocable living trust, meaning you can revoke it, you can change it, you can decide who you want as beneficiaries. In a nutshell, the reason to have a trust, the trust is to protect your assets, okay? It's the main thing too is probate. People hear about probate, like what is it? You don't want to know what probate is by being involved in a probate.
Yeah, you want to know beforehand so you can avoid it. That's what you want.
Yes, and I have unfortunately had a lot of clients where they're at the end of the road and maybe cognitively they're just not able to make a decision. And now, unfortunately, all their assets are going to go through probate. The cap of value is 100, I think it's 165,000 and below is considered a small probate estate, and you don't have to go through the agonizing probate process. Mm-hmm. You fill out a couple forms and it's done. Anything above that, you're talking about going through a court process, legal fees, filing fees, very long, drawn out. Publicly, it's all out in the public. It's just a terrible thing to experience.
Yes, and for those who aren't familiar with what probate is, say you have a will, you didn't make a trust and put all of your assets in the trust, then even if you have a will, when you pass, the government still needs to go through your will and then delegate everything. And that process of the government overseeing what's in your will, or if you don't have a will, they'll just oversee it themselves with what documentation, I'm not sure. But it'll go through a court process, and you can't avoid that process. And it can be lengthy, it can take years, and it costs money. So to avoid the government going into your will and delegating everything for you, you need to put your stuff in a trust, and the trust will protect it from going through probate, and whatever's written in the trust is what it happens and what gets decided.
Yeah, correct. I'll give you an example. I have a client, her mom had Alzheimer's. We tried to get her to do a trust. She was 85. She was just way past that point of agreeing on anything. She was super angry and not cooperative at all. She ended up passing away. She had two properties, probably totaling close to $2 million in value, plus other investments. So, they went through the probate process. She did have a will, so her daughter was the executor. And then they have to notify all the relatives. They gave us the permission to sell property, so they were able to sell the homes. But then the money's sitting in this account, and then one of the relatives decided that they didn't like what was going on, and they contested, and it got dragged out through court for another 2 years before they could distribute all the money. And not only that, there's mandated legal fees, and it's based on every 100,000, there's a percentage. So as an example, $600,000 estate, you're talking about $32,000 in fees.
Ouch.
Yeah. So if a state's, 1.2 million, 60,000.
And it costs it is a lot of money, and it costs much less to establish a trust than it does to pay the legal fees of probate.